Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at two brand new Civivi models that have dropped today. They should be available right now, and two pretty good offerings. I just realized this is kind of a Civivi heavy week for the channel. I usually don't have more than one Civivi to talk about at the most each week, but we did the Vision FG earlier this week, and now we got these two guys right here, and one is very, very different. We'll set this for last because this one here, this is not your typical Civivi. And then this one here actually is very much your typical Civivi. It's one of the best Civivi models ever made, in my opinion, but with a new blade shape that I think a lot of people are going to love. Before I open this, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along. I'll continue to bring you the content, and it's a lot easier to bring it to you guys when you're subscribed. You see it more often, so do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And what we got here is the Civivi Elementum, but it's not just any Elementum. Right off the bat, we see thumb studs, and we got a wharncliffe. We have a wharncliffe Elementum here, and let me tell you guys, this is as slicey and good of a blade as you're probably thinking. But before we say too much about this knife, let's take a look at some quick specs just to refresh the memory here. We are looking at a 7-inch overall length, a blade length coming in at 2.97 inches, your typical 120 thousandths blade stock. Nitro V steel on this guy, wharncliffe blade, and they kept the hollow grind. Thank you, Civivi. They could have very easily went with a flat grind here, and it would have really sucked if they did, because one of the best things about the Elementum is that slicey hollow grind. So I'm really happy to see that hollow grind stay here, and let me tell you, it is slicey. And then we have, of course, the G10, the liner lock, all the same good stuff, but it's only right hand only. It's right hand carry only. There's no lefty option. That's very surprising for me, especially with the Elementum. But at the same time, you know, kind of is what it is, unfortunately. A weight coming in at 2.89 ounces and a price, $55. $55 for this Elementum, which is actually really good when you stop and think about it. The original Elementums were right around $50, and those were D2 steel. So you're basically paying an extra $5 for a better steel, in my opinion. I definitely prefer Nitro V over D2. So yeah, so there's that. Size comparison, we'll do a really quick one. Here's the Kaiser original, just something to kind of give you a reference to. I think everybody knows how big the Elementum is, so this is really no different at all. And that's really the biggest thing I have to say about this is it's still your typical Elementum. It's the exact same size. Here's my other Elementum. This is my Blade HQ exclusive with S35VN. Exact same length, exact same thickness, size, all that good stuff, just with thumb studs and a warning instead of the drop point. I gotta say, I really wish my S35VN version had thumb studs. I love the thumb studs on this. This is very, very nice. And the only thing I would recommend on this guy, change that clip out. The clip is okay, but these milled clips you can get from Civivi that go on pretty much just about any Civivi, not all of them. I'll have them linked on Amazon. Because they don't work on every model, but they work on a lot of models, and it'll specify in the Amazon listing which models they work on. But to me, changing that clip out to a milled clip, that's a game changer for the ergos. I really think it feels a lot better in hand with that milled clip. So that's really that, though. You can get those clips in black. So like this one right here, I could get a black milled clip, and it would look great. Behind the edge reading on this guy is 16 thousandths, which is very nice and slicey. And the action is as good as you would expect from an Elementum. It was one of the things that everybody loved so much about it, was how nice that detent was, how easy that blade flipped out, and whether you are middle finger flipping it, or thumb flicking it, it's good to go. This one is a little stiff. I've had this for like a week and a half now, maybe going on 2 weeks. But I haven't really had the need to disassemble it. I probably should. I think if I disassembled it and put a little KPL, a little extra KPL, I really like using the lightweight. I think that works a little better than the original. Just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I prefer the KPL lightweight on bearings, and it works really well. So I think that would maybe loosen it up a little, but it's also not like too stiff to where, a couple shakes and it's closed, and it still rockets out just fine for me. So I don't really have any gripes with this. I think Civivi did all the right things here. They kept that hollow grind, kept it nice and thin and slicey. They added thumb studs, which is great, and it's got the same good action, the ergos. That's it. It's good. It's your typical Elementum with a different blade. I won't say it's a better blade, because I really don't think this is a better blade than the regular Elementum. But I think there are people out there that prefer warnies over drop points. So if you're one of those people and you want a slicey hollow ground warnie, this is it, my friends. $55. Not bad at all. Love the multiple deployment options, and just like seeing Civivi take some of their best knives and continue to make them different and keep the options going for everybody. I want to see a blacked out C on that pivot, though. Did you guys really think I wasn't going to say that? As much as I like this knife, it would look a lot better if it had a blacked out C. But that's all I'll say about that. But it wasn't not going to be said. But yeah, feels really good. It's good. It's a winner. The Civivi Wharncliffe Elementum. We'll put that to the side. And now we'll talk about the brand new one, because this thing is a beast of a knife, and it's a very different knife. One of the more different Civivis I've seen. Obviously, a different type of different than the Vision FG. The Vision FG was just out there, right? It was a completely different lock, completely different everything. This is just your typical liner lock. It's just an absolute hoss. And I mean a hoss with a capital H, because this is the Civivi Voltaire. And let me tell you guys, this is one brute of a knife. Real quick, let's take a look at some overall specs on this guy here. We have an overall length of 9.12 inches, a little pocket sword here. A blade length coming in at 3.98 inches, just under 4 inches. A blade thickness at your standard 120 thousandths. So that tall blade and average stock makes for some pretty nice cutting geometry there. Pretty slicey, even though it is just a flat grind. We are looking at a blade steel of 14C28N. I love seeing that on Civivi's, guys. Nitro V's good, but 14C28N will always win with me, so really happy to see that on this, especially such a big blade. We have that Tonto style blade with a flat grind, handle length coming in at 5.15 inches with a handle thickness at a rather average 550 thousandths. So it's not a thick handle, it's just kind of a wider handle. Feels very, very good in hand. Big hands are gonna love this handle here. We have coarse G10. Now, I got a little more to say about this coarse G10 when we get to the handle, because it looks coarse. It doesn't exactly feel coarse. We have a liner locking mechanism with a good lockup. And we do have some left and right options here. So lefties rejoice. If you like bigger knives and you like this knife, it is made for you lefties. With a weight of 5.85 ounces, which for as big of a knife as this is, it's really not that bad. A price coming in at $63.75. Now I gotta say it. This knife reminds me, this is like if Civivi and Cold Steel had a knife baby. This is what you would get. This is exactly what you would get. The Cold Civivi, or the, I don't know. This is definitely that. I cannot stop thinking about Cold Steel. As a matter of fact, let's do a little size comparison here with some Cold Steels. And this is in no way, Cold Steel has nothing to do with this. I'm not saying that. It's not a collaboration. It's not any of that. I just get really strong Cold Steel vibes from this knife, which is not a bad thing. I like me some Cold Steel. And as you can see, look at how this thing measures up with the freaking Formax Scout. I mean, it measures up pretty well. And then we also have our AD10 here, and it's just as big as the AD10, if that gives you anything. And really, it's actually just a hair longer than the AD10. So Big boy here, big boy, but also a thinner handle, a more slender handle than these two. These two are a little thicker, more hand filling, as to where this is a little more pocket friendly. Actually, it's kind of a lot more pocket friendly than either one of these Cold Steels. Not to say anything too bad about these Cold Steels, because they're obviously still in my collection for a good reason, because I really enjoy them. But what this Voltaire brings to the table is rather unique, because there's not many knives. Actually, let's do one more quick size comparison here with a couple other Civivis in case maybe you never handled those Cold Steels. Here's a couple bigger Civivi knives, and look what it does to those. Look what it does to the Conspirator. Look how much bigger it is than the Conspirator. And even the Sentinel Strike, if you haven't, a lot of you may not have had this yet, it's a newer one, but I feel like anyone who likes Civivi probably has the Conspirator. Look at that. I mean, it towers over both of those two. So yeah, that's impressive. This is in every way, shape, and form a big knife. And I like it. You guys, I like big knives, and I cannot lie. You know that. Now let's get into this blade, because this is one big slab of 14C28, and definitely one of those harder use budget blades, because we have a behind the edge reading of 20 thousandths. Now, since there's so much height there, 20 thousandths is actually a pretty decent edge for this. It's still going to slice just fine. It's going to cut just fine. It's going to do any ADC task you need to do just fine. The tip up here is really nice and strong, but still really good for piercing too. So it's not too dainty. It's reinforced well, and it's going to be a pretty good workhorse of a knife for you. I really do think this would work really well as long as you're someone who is okay carrying a bigger knife. I think this is something that would put in some pretty good work for just about anyone. There's also a really nice blade to handle ratio. I mean, I can't hold it like this because then you'll only see this much of the knife, but look at that. I mean, really nice balance there. There's a lot of handle, but there's a lot of blade. Really, really nice balance. I also like how the width of the blade, the widest point of this knife is like right up here. So, or well, maybe not. Maybe it's right there. But anyway, it's balanced well. The width of the blade really balances the aesthetics of the knife overall. It looks good. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, it feels good. This handle is nice. Now, the coarse G10, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. It looks coarse, but it really doesn't feel coarse. To be totally honest with you, it doesn't feel much different at all than the Wharncliffe Elementum that, how do I not? Oh, here it is. I was like, where did that go? It like disappeared. Obviously, we have two very different textures of G10 here. I'm here to tell you guys, in terms of actual grippiness, I don't really get an advantage in terms of grippiness, or like, it looks different. It just looks different. To me, I don't get a difference of grippiness in either one of these. They both feel good. I think they both have plenty enough texture that I would never be worried about either one slipping out of my hand. But even though they call this coarse, it does look coarse, but it's not real deep. Like the grooves and texturing in here isn't real deep into the handle, so you don't feel it nearly as much as you think you would. Now that's actually a good thing, I think, because you don't have to worry about it tearing up your pants. This is by no way going to cause a bunch of issues with tearing up jeans. I can almost guarantee you that, because it's just not that aggressive, which is nice. It looks tough, it looks rugged, but it's not going to tear stuff up. So I like that. I just wanted to be clear. I didn't want you to think that this is going to be a jeans eater or something that was just a super, super tacky, extra aggressive handle, because it's really not. It looks that way, but it's just not. And that's not a bad thing. I like it. I think it feels good. The rest of the handle is actually pretty basic. I think where it really stands out, though, is the width of the handle, the width, and then also the actual thickness, which is not really thick. Medium-sized hands and big hands are going to love this knife, because it really does fill the hand well, while also not make you feel like you're grabbing a baseball bat, you know? It feels really good. The choil up here works really nice. My index finger fits in there perfect. Makes for a really good position to choke up, and it really feels just as good in your typical grip position back here. So really, really happy with the ergos on this. They're not like hand-hugging shaman ergos, but they're very solid and they're very satisfying. Now, going into the action, that's where this thing... Now, you kind of expect it to be smooth just because it's on bearings and it's a bigger blade. So, common sense tells you Civivi probably has a detent that's dialed in, and they do. The detent's great on this. So, it's not too surprising that the action's that good, but the flipping action I expected to be really, really good, and it is. Where I'm surprised are these thumb studs. Very nice thumb stud action. Whether you're middle finger flicking it or thumb flicking it, it's really, really good. It's very easy. Once you break the detent, the blade rockets out. So very, very nice there. It almost feels, the blade's so big, once you break that detent, you've pretty much created enough momentum to carry the blade out, and it almost feels like there's a very small, light amount of assistance in the blade opening, like a spring or something, but there's not. This is very much a manual knife. Really, really like the action on this. It's very different because this is, I'm trying to think, I can't think of a Civivi blade bigger than this one. In terms of width and just overall mass and steel on a blade. This is a really big blade for Civivi. And I like what they did here. They brought something new out of the box, and they still kept it within that Civivi realm to where it does feel like a Civivi. But it also gives you those Cold Steel vibes. Like, this is really good. I like it. I really, really like it. They have a really sweet Damascus version, and there's some other options as well. But this is definitely one, if you like bigger knives and you like Civivi, this is like a no-brainer. I would recommend this all day. Very smooth action, good comfy ergos. Very, very interesting blade coming out of Civivi. Really nice to see a real fresh design coming from them there. And you gotta love a different take on the Elementum if you like the Elementum as much as I do. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you think of these two models. Of course, they will be linked below for you to get to pick one up if it fits your fancy. Let me know what you think. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.